morning, guys. Happy Monday. This is our last week of new content for Wellness and Fayed. Today's going to be a great start to a great week. Lots of good content coming. Today we're going to talk a little bit about physical health, more specifically exercise, fitness, some terms, and some principles that once you set a exercise or fitness goal, these things will help you reach those goals. Okay. First of all, kind of the big four principles as far as fitness goes. I'll talk a little bit about them in a second here. Progression, overload, specificity, and regularity. Okay, those are kind of the big four. And then after those, we'll talk about some ways that you can make exercises more difficult to make sure that you're hitting progression and overload principles. Okay, so a little bit more about them. Oh, and by the way, I'm downstairs in the dungeon. This is where I get a lot of my workouts done. First off, progression principle. It basically states that you're always progressing forward. This kind of goes hand in hand with overload too. Progression and overload are working together. It's making sure that you're always progressing forward. You're always challenging yourself from whatever you did the previous time. So a great example would be, let's take the example of a push-up. Okay, let's say yesterday I did 10 push-ups. The progression and overload principle would say that in order for me to experience change in my body, become stronger, acquire more endurance in my muscles, I must do more than that. So, and we'll talk about different ways that you can make it more challenging, but the most simple way would be to add more reps. So yesterday I did 10 reps. Today I got to do at least 11. Okay, that's the only way that I'm going to see change in my body, is if I challenge it, or if I progress it, or if I overload whatever muscle I'm working on. Okay. Next one's regularity. That basically refers to the frequency that you're doing your exercise. Okay. Remember I talk about what you eat or your exercise. Whatever you do most will have the most influence on your body. Okay. So if I do my 10 push-ups once a week, the other 6 days are going to have the most influence on me. So regularity refers to how often or the frequency that you're doing your exercise. If you're getting cardio and you're doing some sort of resistance training with weights 3 to 4 times a week, you're going to experience change as long as you're progressing and overloading your muscles. Okay, and then the last one is specificity. That refers to whatever your goal is that you set. The things that you're doing are specific to your goal. Okay, just a simple example. If my goal is to be as big and as strong as I possibly can, but all I'm doing is endurance running, my goal and what I'm doing are not matching up. Okay, so specificity is stating that you're doing things specific to what your goal is. Okay. Progression, overload, regularity, specificity. Okay. Now going back to progression and overload, some things that you can do or some things to keep in mind to make sure that you're following those principles. Basically ways to make your exercise more challenging. Okay, and really four ways you can do that. You can increase your sets or your reps. You can change the resistance that you're using. And you can change your tempo. Okay, so sets and reps. Back to my push-up example. Okay, I was explaining I could do 10 reps. Okay, a rep is a full motion of a complete motion of whatever the exercise is. So one rep or repetition of a push-up would be if I was in the upright position, all the way down, all the way up. That's one rep. Okay, if I were to do 10 of those and then stop, those 10 push-ups would be one set. Okay, one set of 10 reps. Usually in writing form, if you see sets and reps, sets will be the first number, and then reps will be the second number. It's usually shown with an X in between. So if I was doing one set of 10, it would be 1x10 or 1 by 10, one set of 10 push-ups. Okay. So you can increase sets of reps. I'm not going to go into detail about, if I want to increase my endurance, how many sets of reps should I do, or if I want to be really powerful and explosive in my movements, which my sets and reps be. I'm not going to do that right now. Just know that usually increasing sets of reps are going to, check off your progression and overload principles. The next one's resistance, changing your resistance. What I mean by that is it could simply mean you're increasing your weight. If you're using a barbell or a dumbbell for an exercise, progression and overload principles would require you to increase weight from whatever you did the previous time. Another way you can do this is by changing the form of resistance. What I mean by that is behind me, this right here, that's a barbell. Okay, it's 45 pounds. I could, if I was using it to use it as a bench press. Okay, so I'm lying on my back. I'm pressing from my chest straight up and back down. Some people use chains. They hang them on the sides on the ground. Some people use resistance bands. Okay, they put them up here and put weights on the ground. So the resistance is changing. Now I'm not just using gravity. I'm either using chains, which is added weight, and as the bar gets lowered, as the bar gets raised, the extra weight from the chains is providing resistance, or resistance bands. Okay, as I'm pushing up, there's extra elastic resistance on the weight that I already put on the bar. Okay, so there's different ways that you can add resistance. Another great example is water. Okay, if you want to go for a run, you're using the resistance of gravity. But now if you're using water to swim, okay, there's extra resistance. It's not just gravity anymore. And the last thing that you can alter is your tempo. And what I mean by that is the tempo of let's say a push-up. Okay, let's say the day that I did 10 push-ups, I went down for 2 seconds. I paused for 1 second at the bottom, and then I came up for 2 seconds. That's my tempo. Okay, and basically slowing your tempo is going to make your exercise more difficult. Okay. As far as your muscles, it's called time under tension. To make your muscles grow and become stronger, every time you exercise a particular muscle, or you do lifts for a specific muscle, you're tearing your muscles, and as they repair themselves, that's how they grow. And time under tension, for the most part, does that really well. So if you want to slow your tempo, you might see some results a little bit quicker, as far as that goes. And then the last thing, for your goals, if you're not reaching them, you always have to go back to your nutrition. Okay, if my goal is to be big and strong, and be explosive, but I'm not gaining weight, then you need to look at your calorie intake. And the same thing the other way. If you're trying to lose weight, and you're doing everything you can as far as fitness goes, then you need to look at your calorie intake as well. Okay. All right, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys have a great day, great week. Let me know if I can do anything for you. Just reach out. Thank you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.